I am running out of things to say about the 2024-25 Philadelphia 76ers, and quite honestly, last night was the final nail in the coffin. I will tell you a couple predictions about things I think will happen over the next couple weeks. I'll tell you what needs to happen. We'll talk about a trade that occurred in the NBA yesterday outside of the Sixers that once again shows how incompetent this front office is right now. But overall, man, it's time to fire everybody. I've had enough. We'll get into it all, but welcome in to Philly Take with RB. Like this video, continue to support us, man, and subscribe to the show. This one's brought to you by the new Philly Take with RB website and merch shop. The link is down in the description. Go check it out, man. We got Philly Take with RB merch. We have the Sixers therapy merch. Everybody needs therapy right now with this team. The Wake Up the Neighbors merch, yes sir, the logo merch, and a whole bunch more hats, hoodies, beanies, mugs, and more, man. So check it out over on phillytakewithrb.com. Go support us and get yourself one of those Sixers therapy tees, man, because like I said, the emotional ride this team has put us through with the expectations this season are just absolutely unbearable. Last night in the live stream, we were throwing out words to describe this team. And the one I kept coming back to was irrelevant. Like, again, if the Sixers came out this season and they tried this plan and they played Joel and Maxey and PG and it just wasn't good enough, it just didn't work, I'd say, okay, fine, I can live with it. I'm mad, but I live with it. But for these guys to pretty much not play at all this season, and with everything going on, look at how the Eastern Conference is shaping up. It's just absolutely embarrassing. It is disgraceful. And Nick Nurse's face right here is the face of every fan in Philadelphia that is still watching this team. Nick Nurse has absolutely had enough of this. I would not be surprised, here's bold take number one, if he's like, you know what, I'm done. I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. Nick Nurse took a pay cut to come here. Nick Nurse chose to come here to coach guys like Joel Embiid and try to get them over the hump. And he's like, I'm halfway into a season and I'm dealing with this crap? Are you kidding me? Getting pelted with questions every night? Look at his face, man. He is absolutely done. He is so checked out. And you know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's the saying, right? I had to go back last night. I pointed this out during our live show. I still can't believe this is a real image. Nikola Jokic, by the way, this was the third rebound attempt. The Sixers got out-rebounded 51-25, and that is a normal occurrence. How long have I been up here screaming about a rebounder? They had four guys with Maxey in the background watching Jokic. Last night, ladies and gentlemen, was the final nail in the coffin. That was a big spit in the face by the players to not only the coach, but the GM, the front office, and everybody else. I'm talking about wide open lanes to the rim. I know a lot of people didn't watch this game. They didn't stay up for it, but go back and watch. They literally were not playing defense. There was one guy out there that after every defensive possession was like throwing his arms up and screaming and getting pissed off. You know who it was? It was the only guy with heart on the team this year, a guy who had his back against the wall and is out here just having the time of his life, and that is Guerschon Yabusele. And you know, again, I hope the Sixers can find a way to bring him back, but part of me inside is also hoping that he goes to a competent franchise so he can have a position to contend this year, because really, I mean, he's the only guy out here giving effort right now. It's actually insane. You look at last night, Maxey, I thought had a better game, but Paul George, again, just embarrassing. His defense isn't even living up to what we saw early in the season. And what I've come to realize is the roster just is not good enough at all. Like, they're trying at some points. Last night they didn't. They gave up 144. By the way, Jokic went out before the start of the fourth. The starters came out with 6 to 7 minutes left, and they still scored 144. They could have had 170 points last night. No lie. But what I've come to realize is that the roster is actually built so terribly. And when you look at the NBA landscape this year and you look at the teams that are good and the new CBA and all this stuff combined, it's all about building the young team and being able to win before you have to pay all the young players. Like, look at the Thunder and the Rockets and the Grizzlies, the Cavs. Those are the type of teams that right now sit atop the NBA. It's no longer let's patch up holes with 36-year-olds. You just can't do it And I just have never seen a product like this. But last night, like I said, these dudes literally gave up. And you look at the upcoming schedule, I mean, they might be like 17-35 by the time this next stretch is done. They can't beat anybody. They literally cannot. And Nick Nurse goes back to the old players yesterday, doesn't play the young guys as much. And I'm starting to think maybe the Sixers have told him to tank to play the old guys because they're actually worse. Like they actually showed a little bit potential with the young guys, and the old guys are even worse. Like Andre Drummond, who at one point has a mental lapse and tries to play like a guard and then runs a half mile an hour down the floor. And like the IQ is just so bad. How come every role player that comes here just forgets how to play basketball? It's unbelievable. PG had a quote last night. He says, "It's unacceptable. We know that, but all we can do is take this as a lesson and look forward to responding at home." That's what Paul George says about the recent struggles. Well, you know what I have to say, man? It is unacceptable. And you know what happens when these kind of things go down? Look across sports. When teams fail, when they don't hit expectations, when their record comes up short of expectations, when a team like the Sixers, who built up all this hype, has this type of season, you know what happens? They clear house. And at this point, after what we saw last night, not even being the slightest bit competitive and not even getting any like message or reaffirmation or confirmation, whatever, that this team can at least have just a glimmer of hope, I'm ready to just blow it up, clean it up, and start over. But you know what? Maybe that won't even work till the guy at the top decides to sell the franchise. And I don't even know if he knew the franchise played last night. He's focused on an NFC championship game. So, man, it is an absolute disaster. And here's what Nick Nurse had to say last night, because not only did this team come out gutless and with no effort, but now Nick Nurse is calling them out. A reporter for Denver last night said that the locker rooms were next to each other, and she heard a lot of screaming in the locker room. I mean, what are they getting mad about? You know, are they now turning on each other? Here's what Nick Nurse had to say.
I think it all boils down to we weren't ready to go from the start, right? Like, I just talked to him about a few simple things that we were trying to do at the start of the game, like 2 minutes in, and we were a couple guys in one scheme and a couple guys in another, just lack of being ready to go, right? And it's too bad because I thought we had great prep and great shoot around today and had some good stuff ready to go. But we didn't get in some stuff. Multiply that into, we missed about 3 or 4 layups at the rim in our own transition. All those turned into some kind of transition, a dunk or a 3 at the other end. So we didn't finish through the hits. And then just again, lack of execution on offense. When we did execute, we were scoring. We were scoring plenty there.
Oh, we were scoring. We just weren't defending. And you're right, Nurse. The Sixers not only have the worst transition defense maybe in the history of the NBA, Andre Drummond might lead the league in missed wide open layups. This team literally did not play defense last night. Their half-court defense is actually top 10 this season. They are the worst team in the league when it comes to transition defense. They gave no care in the world, getting beat down the floor by, I don't even know how much he weighs, Nikola Jokic, who's slow. This team was not trying on the defensive end. And now they have their coach calling them out. So now you're creating this environment where the players are ready to give up even more because there's no leader in this, I guess, organization, locker room. Like, there's nobody that steps up and is willing to deliver a message. A lot of people got on me when I said, hey, they should have kept Pat Bev. And I know he's not that good of a player, but you know what Pat Bev is? He's a guy that's going to ream somebody out if they're playing half-ass. Pat Bev is that type of guy, and that's what this team needs. They need those dogs. Like, again, if you go back and watch some of the plays, Yabusele's getting, like, really animated. Like, yo, somebody play defense. And nobody did. Nobody did. The stars on the team are just walking around. Paul George has finessed the 76ers, man. It's unbelievable. But now Nick Nurse is pissed off. They heard screaming and yelling. So now the players are at a point where they're looking at it like, hey, we don't even have Joel Embiid here. You're mad at us. So now they're going to give up even more. Nurse looks like he's losing his absolute mind. Daryl Morey's in hiding. Somebody put out an alert. Where is Daryl Morey at? Usually he's on the radio talking it up. Hey, here's what we're going to do at the trade deadline. We haven't even heard any reports about what the Sixers are going to do. So this is just absolute disaster from top to bottom. It reeks. It smells. It's nauseating. And you are on the verge. I don't think the Sixers realize this. Do you know what the Sixers did yesterday? Like, they are on the verge of losing most of this fan base. They sent out an email about 2025-26 season tickets. Are you serious? You're sending out season tickets for next year? There's season ticket holders this year who are DMing me pissed off as heck because they want their refunds because they're not going to the games. They're trying to sell off tickets, and you're sending out emails about next year's season tickets. Remember when I said before, this organization right now has no self-awareness? They don't even realize how mad we are. They don't even realize how disinterested we are. This is absolutely sickening. Like I said, starts from the top down. Unbelievable, man. We got another Joel Embiid update, though. Joel Embiid remains rehabbing per Shams Charania. The swelling in his left knee that's kept him inactive for 3 straight games. Quote, from my understanding, even today, from what I hear, Joel remains rehabbing, continuing to try to do everything he can to get back on the floor. But there have been frustrations, from my understanding, throughout the year, not having him there. Yeah, you think? His team cannot build a formidable roster around Joel Embiid. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that, no blame is on him. I think there's a lot of blame on him this season for, how he, I guess, has handled himself and the whole locker room thing that came out and not being ready to go. But the Sixers, year after year after year, have not built a formidable roster around Joel Embiid. Every time he goes down for a certain period of time, the team looks like the worst in the NBA. Guys like Andre Drummond were supposed to come in and fill those shoes. He said he was the best rebounder ever. Remember that? He said he was the GOAT rebounder. Now he's on Paul George's podcast reacting to clips of Dwight Howard. I mean, you can't make this up. Somebody's got to get pissed off, man. I think it's going to be Tyrese Maxey. I think he's the next one that's going to explode. I mean, he kind of did already earlier this year, but at some point, I think he's going to start calling people out because it's just unbelievable. So I think not only have the players quit, I think Nurse has to go. I think Daryl Morey has to go. And I think you got to just start this whole thing over. I mean, maybe you could keep Daryl Morey as a draft scout or expert. I mean, the guy hits on young draft picks, but you need some superiority. You need some leadership, because whether it's the star or the front office or the coach, nobody seems to be connective with anybody else. It's like, here's one element, here's the next, here's the next. Like, they're so far apart, and now they're just going out there doing cardio. Anyway, the other thing that will happen over the next couple weeks is, again, they need to sell off some players. They don't have any picks in 2025. Hoping and praying they get the top 6. Don't know how it's going to work out. They need to hype up and sell off Kelly Oubre, Caleb Martin if possible, even though he's in the first of a 4-year deal. KJ Martin if he can get back on the floor. Drummond, even EG starting to hit some 3-pointers. Get all these guys, ship them out, get second-round picks, and maybe even ship out Yabu, send them to a good team, and get some type of pick, maybe even a late first or a pick swap or something like that back. Lastly, the Suns made a trade. They acquired 3 first-round picks in exchange for their unprotected pick, which is the only asset they had controlled in the next 7 years, which is insane. But you know why they did that? Because they're gearing up to make a Jimmy Butler trade. Now, again, I don't think that's a good idea for Phoenix. They have no assets that they control in the next 7 years. If this doesn't work, they are absolutely universally screwed. But you know what it shows, man? It shows a team like Utah who's stacking up a better draft pick. It shows teams willing to make these creative in and out type of moves that are unconventional. And even Phoenix, as bad as they've looked, are willing to go do something. Meanwhile, the Sixers sit there, the fans continue to check out, and the ownership says absolutely nothing. They don't shut Embiid down officially yet to try to continue to draw us into going to games, things like that. I don't know how anybody's still going to the games. Unbelievable, man. These teams, other teams are still trying to do something to make their teams better and, just maneuver into a better place. And the Sixers have said nothing. So that's where we're at in late January, an all-time low of vibes. Hopefully it gets better. and we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Those are my thoughts. What do you think the Sixers should do leading up to the trade deadline? That's only a couple weeks away now. Give me your thoughts. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.